Good morning, Vesta. How are you? Welcome back. Doesn't seem like that very long ago we were on all together. Oh my goodness, guess what, everybody? The sun is shining. We have not had sun in over 10 days. So the sun is shining for now. They say we're going to have some kind of a front push through. It'll get a little chillier, but in the next week, we're looking at least 7 days straight of some sunshine. So that is so good to see. The birds are loving it. They're actually, I can hear some of the birds starting to sing already. Haven't seen a robin yet, but the robins, there's some that stick around here all year long. But I haven't seen one in the yard yet, but it's getting close because spring is just around the corner. Okay, so good morning, everybody. Hi, Gail. And hi, Barb, Jasmine, Tony. Thank you for sharing. And Diana from Northern New York. Yay! Good morning, everybody. Hi, Deborah. Thank you for being here. Real quick, this morning, demonstrators got the pre-order starts for the online exclusives that will be available in March. So this morning I put a pre-order in for, I didn't get everything. I am really trying to stick to things that I know I will use. So I put in an order. I like, I'm paying attention to sentiments more. Of course, paper, because that's what we use. But there are some really cute things there. I just did not get it all. So I'm just taking it one product at a time. Maybe not one. I think I ordered quite a bit, but not everything. So that's available to demonstrators. And if you get the starter kit the month of February, you can include those pre-order products towards your starter kit. It's not just the annual catalog or things like that. If there's a pre-order going on, then you can choose those products to put in your starter kit. Okay, and this is the last month that if you get the starter kit, that you'll get the Glass Mat Studio free. Now, if the Glass Mat Studio isn't your thing, then you get more product for $99. You get $155 in product for $99 instead of the $125. But that is also, you get free shipping on your starter kit. They throw in a past paper pumpkin. There's some other supplies that they send you in your starter kit. And then, of course, your orders from now until the end of June, you will get at least 20% off your future orders. So if you have any questions, let me know. Okay, so I have been wanting to do this quilt block for at least 2 years. And there's just, you know, there's only so many patterns you can do. There's not enough time. And so it's taken me this long to try it. And I was still making them before I went live. So it's a pattern. Some of you have probably already done it because I have seen it demonstrated many times before by different people. I learned from Karen Titus, who is my upline, okay? And I really love the template that she uses to help you get your square in a square where it needs to be. So I learned from Karen. I have seen it done by other people. I am going to teach you the way I learned by watching Karen. okay? And you're not going to believe how easy this is if you've never done it before. Like I said, I couldn't quit making the blocks. So this is something you can make these quilt blocks ahead of time and stash them away. And then when you're putting a card together, pull out one of those quilt blocks and just finish it off with a sentiment. One of my goals, something I'm striving for, is to keep my cards easy, simple. It's always great that we can build on them for the avid crafter. But what I am trying to stick with is like that, just in the middle of the road kind of place where it's not too plain, but there's still room if I want to zhuzh it up. Okay, so we're gonna fall kind of like in that middle, and you can decide whether you want it simpler or if you want to put your own personal touch on it and step them up. Okay, so while I am turning the camera around, wish each other a good morning, greet each other. This is only going to take me a few seconds to flip things around. So, and then we will get started. Okay. Sorry, everybody. I don't mean to make you dizzy. Okay, just a few more things I gotta move around. Can you believe it's February 1st already? Oh, just signs of the times that the year is gonna go by fast. And oh, and here's another, I haven't done them yet, but here is something that I would like to strive for, is to, every week that I do a Facebook Live, I want to do the same card design, but I want to at least make one of them a Christmas card. That way, if I stay ahead like that, I won't find myself trying to find the time. Let's see, I usually, here lately, I've been a slacker by my own standards, by not getting my Christmas cards out till like 10 days before Christmas. So if I can start building a stash now, then I should be in pretty good shape. So before I'm done with this pattern that I'm going to show you, I need to have some Christmas cards with the same quilt pattern. So how many, just by my post yesterday in the things that we're going to use today, how many of you have already done this pinwheel? And I'm calling it a square and a square pinwheel because that's actually what we're starting with to build those pinwheels. Hi, Joanne. Hi, Roxanne. Hey, Kathy. You were watching Karen this morning. Gosh, I hope she's not doing the same block. I didn't know that, but and Linda, you can brag. That's okay, because I can't wait till we hit the 70s. Even 60 would be awesome. Good morning, Holly and Janelle. Hi, Susan. How are things in Texas? Hi, Lori. And Jean. Two Jeans. Hello, Jean in North Dakota. And Jean, thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. Maybe we'll get some more people to watch, and they'll want to make some quilt blocks. Hi, Dee. That's another thing. I want to make, I want to show quilt cards that they're easy enough that for those who think that they can't do it, they can see how easy it is, and they'll want to make more. So the cards today, The background that I used on the front, I did use this frame from the Radiating Stitched Dies. Now, all my examples that I'm going to show you afterwards have just a 3 3/4 by 5 inch piece of basic white. They don't all have this this border. And if I'm honest, I like the simpler, just plain basic white 3 3/4 by 5. So if that's what you're using, great, because honestly, this does step it up, but I was really appreciating the simplicity of the card when I had just a plain white background. So don't feel that you need to do this. And when I show you them side by side, I think you'll get the same feeling. Hi, Alice. And Melanie. Melanie, thank you for sharing. I'm just so glad that you are all here. So, hi, Linda. So let's get started. This is so simple, you guys. I'm just like, I don't know why I put it off. I know I was definitely intimidated's not the word, but because I'm a visual learner, you know, I go back and watch things, or I catch the lives, and then I mentally put it in my head, I'm going to go back and try that, but then something comes up and I get distracted very easily and I go off in another direction. But for whatever the reasons are that I just did not get around to doing this when I should, kind of kicking myself in the butt, because I try to imagine all the quilt cards I could have already made had I been doing this the first time I saw Karen do it. So on a piece of grid paper, what I did was I drew out a 2.5 inch square. Why? Because that's the size of the square that I'm using to build my pinwheel on. This can be adjusted if you want to go bigger or smaller, but your template will need to be the size of the squares that you're using for your pinwheel. So you're going to take one of your 2.5 inch squares and you're going to lay one right in that square that you drew out. Okay? Now, these lines that extend vertically and horizontally, you want to draw a line at 1 1/4 inches, which is half of the square, in both directions, because these lines are going to help you line up your points of your second square when you go to put the two together. Okay, so those lines just help you see that your points are straight. So we're going to lay the first square down within our template, and I'm going to take some liquid glue. I'm going to hold that square down, and I just want to lay some glue down in the center. Okay, now I'm going to take the second square, I'm going to hold it on point, which it looks like a diamond. Okay, and my points I'm going to line up on those lines. And from having done so many of these already, I know it's about 1/2 inch that I am going to be around that square on the bottom. So line up your points. They should fall on that straight line that you drew. And now you have your square and a square. And this is going to be the base that we are going to start our pinwheel. Okay. Alrighty. Hi, Sandra. I'm sorry. I just glanced over to make sure that I hadn't missed any questions. Okay. So we can take our template out of the way. Now, if you're going to be doing multiples of this pattern, then build all of your bases and then set your template to the side. Okay, so now we have our square and a square. I'm going to show you how I cut my squares that I'm going to use to make my pinwheel. So I had you cut 2 strips of designer series paper that coordinate, and also there's contrast. And these are 1 1/8 by 6 inches. You're going to have a little bit left over. I like to cut as many together as I can. The reason why is when you put your 2 strips together and you cut them at the same time, you've got the one underneath is going to match the one on top. This can really be helpful if you need to cut a square, multiple squares first, and then you're going to be cutting them diagonally into half square triangles. You know that if you keep those pieces together and cut, there's a twin underneath there, and that can help you with placement of those half square triangles or even the squares, and you know that they were cut the same. So I'm holding them together, and I'm going to come up here at 1 1/8, and we need 4 of these squares. So there's 1, 2, and I'm just going to stack them on top of each other. That way they're already in the order when I pick them up. They're already in that order, so I can pick them up and glue them down. And here's another one at 1/8. 1 1/8. Just gonna stack it on top of there, and we need 1 more cut. When I'm cutting fabric for a quilt top, I like to cut more than 1 fabric at the same time. Again, because I know that my cuts are going to be the same. One's not going to be like a smidge off. And we know that you can be a smidge off and times that by 10 seam allowances, and now you're trying to either make your block stretch or you're trying to shrink it down, depending on what way you went. So just we can apply a lot of the things that we do in quilting and piecing with fabric. We can use a lot of those same ideas and same processes with paper. Okay, so I've got my 4, or there's 8 squares there. I'm going to bring back in my base, and the very first square that you pick up, we're going to be using the points of our base as guides as to where that square goes. Some will be square, some will have to turn on point. But your very first one, you only want glue, let's say on the right side. I'm right-handed, so I'm going to be working clockwise around the base. So I'm going to flip it over, and I only want glue on this side. And the reason being is we have to tuck the very last square, and we don't want this flat. So now I'm going to come and I'm going to put it down right at the top of my base. I'm going to see that I'm creating about a 1/8 of an inch border, and I'm just going to tap that in place. And now with the second square, we can put glue on the back of our second square, and we're going to use, let me get a pokey tool here so I can show you. Now we're going to be using this point here. I'm not even going to, sometimes I rotate my block, and sometimes I don't. But we want our second square. You'll notice that this is going to fit right up in there. And what I'm doing, if you can see, to help kind of keep my border even. This bottom left corner, I've got it meeting the point that the first square created, okay? And by doing that, it gives me a nice even border up there. So now this one, we can go ahead and we can put adhesive all the way down. Now, if you're a speedy piecer, when you get down to the last 2 squares, and you've never done this before, you might want to wait for me to catch up with you. And now we can just keep putting our pieces down. And this one's going to go right on top of the one we just did. I am looking to line up my my center there, and it gets me really close to an even border on the outside. Now sometimes, depending on your placement, you might end up with a little tiny hole in the center of your quilt block, but that's okay, because that leaves room for a gem or some kind of an embellishment if you want to hide it. You haven't done anything wrong. You've just given yourself another opportunity to be creative. Okay, so now this one here is going to go down here. And we can do one more, and then I want you to pay attention. And I want to show you a little hint too that I meant to do before now, but it's not like it's too late to show you. Before you get all the way around, go back to your first square. Remember, we didn't glue it all the way down. Just curl it up. And the reason why is because this very next block is going to show you why you want to have that up. When we place this square right here, look how close it is to the one. Okay, let's get back into the right orientation on how I started. When you get to this one right here, you'll notice it's the same pattern as the one you started with. Look how close they are together. If you were to somehow accidentally glue this one here on top of that, or some glue gets in there and sticks it down, you're not going to be able to tuck the very last one. So if you just kind of curl that first one, it's a reminder not to get too close to it, okay? We don't want to glue it down. Ask me how I know. Ask me how I know. Because what is so fun about this quilt block is that you get in a rhythm and you just keep making more and you keep making more. I've done several that I forgot to quilt them. I was so excited to make another one, I forgot to quilt them, and they're already on a card. They're that easy. So now here comes that last square. So we're gonna put our adhesive. Now I am gonna turn my block so that it's easy for me to get this down in here. We're going to tuck that under our very first one and wedge it down in there. Again, look at your outside border. I've got a little bit of a gap here, but I had planned on putting a gem there anyway, so I'm not worried about it. Glue that one down. Now you're back to your first one. That all you need to do is flip it over. Just get some glue on there, okay? And then lay it down. And lay it down gently if you feel you might have gotten a little too much glue. And there's your pinwheel. Is that not the easiest thing ever? And it took me years to try this. I don't know why. But it is so easy. You could sit all day and just cut your bases, choose your designer series paper, and make pinwheel after pinwheel. And you'll notice this is a square in a square, so that's why I called it the square in a square pinwheel. Okay, so oh my goodness, I am just like so proud of myself. And it's just so exciting that it was that easy and it took me this long. So now we have our pinwheel. So before I forget, I'm going to run this over to my cut and emboss machine. I'm going to pick out an embossing folder, and I want to quilt this block. So I will be right back. Which one am I going to use? Where's my favorite? I think I'm going to use the Softly Sophisticated, but I'm going to deboss it. So I'm going to flip it over because I kind of like the stitches laying, the look of the stitches laying down. Oops, I just dropped it. And I apologize that my machine is so far away. Well, it's not really that far away, but there's just so much room on my table. You probably had a hard time hearing me. I don't know if I was talking loud enough. But what I did was I put it in the embossing folder upside down. So you can see that the raised stitching is on the back side. I like the look of my stitches laying down because I think it looks more quilted. When you machine quilt or have your long armor quilt and they're putting those stitches in, the stitches are kind of down. They're not puffy. The puffiness comes from the areas around the stitching. So it's just my preference. So now we're going to set that aside. And now we're going to come in with our card base. I kept my card base and the 2.5 inch square pieces of cardstock. I kept them the same color. You don't have to. So there's the card base. Now after the fact, after I had already posted what to prepare for today, because I scheduled that to post at a certain time. I did it way ahead of time. An afterthought came to me. And I just, since I'm using the inked Botanical, the designer series paper that coordinates with the inked and tiled. So the paper I think is called Inked Botanicals. The stamp set is inked and tiled. My absolute favorite bundle. I went ahead and in pecan pie stamped one of those flower images. So that's going to go on the inside of our card. And you can see here that I am gluing down the boo-boo side. You know, thank goodness that there's two sides to paper, because I dropped the stamp, the block, everything, onto my basic white after I got done stamping and was trying to get it out of my way. I dropped it right on top of what I had just done. So I flipped it over and started over again. Now, before I put my do the front of my card, I'm going to flip it over to the back side. And again, here is just something that I do. You do not have to do it. But I like to put designer series paper on the back, whether it's a full piece, a half a piece, scraps, whatever. I like to put some designer series paper on the back. That comes from the quilter side of me. there are some quilts that I've seen that the backing is a wow piece in itself. And I think it's also a nice little surprise when somebody receives your card. They flip it over, probably expecting just to see, you know, a plain backside to their card. But when you've got another pretty side to it, then it just, you know, gives them another reason to smile. And I'm going to go ahead and put my button there. Always sign your work. Okay, so there's my button. Now I can go back to the front. So this is the piece that I used from the Radiating Stitched Dies. Let me show you what the finished card looks like. I have it, where is it? Right here. This is what it looks like. I love that this steps it up, but I also, well, you'll see when I show you the examples. This one has it too, so that's not any different. So I love this, but I do want to show you what it's going to look like plain. And you be the judge of what you think. Now I want to stamp a sentiment down here in the corner. And I really love the sentiments that are part of that Softly Sophisticated bundle that you can get in Celebration with $100. I love the florals, the two-step stamping for the flowers, and I like, I love the sentiments. So, okay, I can't do it. I was going to try and stamp away from me, but I just can't do it. It's making me very nervous. So I'm just going to bring it down here. And now I'll show you what it looks like. Has anybody watched Holly Sutton do her stamping upside down, away from herself? That girl amazes me. I don't know how she does it, because I just can't, I can't even fathom it. It makes me nervous. I've got to have, like, I work like right down in front of me. I don't know if anybody else works like that, but I do. So I've got my sentiment stamped, and so now I'm just going to go ahead, and you'll notice I'm putting adhesive in the center of this piece of basic white. And the reason being is this die does create, you can see through the lines. And so if I get glue in those lines, it's going to come through to the top. And that's not what I want, because I can guarantee you my fingers are going to find it. And then I'm going to pick something else up. And I just keep transferring glue from one thing to another. So I am not going to do that. What you could do is, if you want, we could do this. I think this won't matter, but if we took a glue dot, if you want to hold those corners down, I'm just going to take one of these glue dots, maybe. This probably isn't the right tool to use, but I've got a glue dot on there, and I'm going to lift up that corner, and I'm just going to slide it off my tool there, and now I can hold that corner down, and actually I don't even feel it. So I'm just going to go around real quick to the corners and hold them down. I just knew that I didn't want liquid glue there because of what happens when it comes up through those stitch marks. Come on, lift up here for me. There you go. I'm going to just tuck one more glue dot in here. There we go. Oh, I know, Holly, she's just amazing. So now I've got my corners down. There's no glue, liquid glue that is coming up through those lines, creating any future disasters. And it's laying nice and flat. Okay, so now I can come in with my pinwheel. And it's just a matter of positioning it where you want. I would like to make sure that I have even amounts of white space around the center. I'm not really paying attention to the points other than I don't want them covering up my sentiment. But I'm paying attention to the white space that's around that square. So that's just going to be my guide. And I'm going to pop this up with some dimensionals. So I'm going to put one in the middle. You can put as many on as you want. I am just going to stick with the points that are part of that bottom square. The other cards I've done, I put a dimensional in every single corner, and I think I got off here. Oh well. Or no, I stayed within. Okay. So what I did on my other cards is I went ahead and I put a dimensional even in those corners because I wanted to make sure that they didn't curl up. But if you're watching your dimensionals and how many you're using, you don't have to use as many. So now I am just going to kind of look at that white space. I'll lay it down. Needs a tilt, and then I'm just going to go ahead and press it down. And then all that's left to do is add a gem in the middle. And I'm using, these are celebration gems. I like the pecan pie. This was a neutral color that I wanted to tie in with the colors that are in this card because it just goes so well. And for me, pecan pie is almost to like a metallic. So I'm just going to put that little gem in the center that can cover up a little hole that you might have had putting your pieces together. You can put anything in the center. You could have left this white space alone, and if you've got a tiny sentiment, you might want to put it as a circle in the center, or even another smaller square, so you have a square and a square and a square, and you have a sentiment on that. You can finish this off however you want. Looking at the computer, I really do like that border, but like I said before, I really liked the simplicity and the clean look that just using a 3 3/4 by 5 inch background gave me. So, hi Sharon. Well, I'm glad you're here anyway. Hey Robin. Hey Alma. Everybody who's jumped in since I've been, Elaine. So glad that you guys are here. So the card is done. It's all set to go. So what I want to show you are samples of other papers that I used. And I'm going to bring this back out because I want to compare the basic white backgrounds, and you tell me what you like. Okay, so we have the stitched border. Now here are these cards. I used the Meandering Meadows Designer Series paper. You can see because I used the scenery from the 6x6 and I actually put it on the back of the card. But here's the Meandering Meadow pinwheel. And again, I'm still using the same stamp set from this Softly Sophisticated. And I even used the flower stamps on the inside. But see how nice and clean just a plain white background is. The quilt block is doing all the work. The DSP is doing all the work. And it's very simple, and you can get a lot of cards made quickly. Okay, so there's those two. That's with the Meandering Meadows. And then this is with the Countryside, the Blues. So I'm going to get this one out of the way that we did today. I want to show you my samples. So here we got the blues. Tony will like this one because it's blue. But just, this is a good example on contrast. This pinwheel here doesn't have the contrast that this one does because there's more white. And you can really distinguish the lights and the darks from each other. Okay, so there was another example. Whoops. Don't know why it did that. I know. Hi, Zena. The blues are really pretty. And you're gonna find yourself wanting to make a pinwheel block out of every DSP that you have. Okay, so Jean's a purple girl. Well, Jean, you're gonna, well, we have fresh freesia, but that might not be purple enough for you. But what about making one of these pinwheels with the lavender designer series paper? I'm telling you, you're not going to be able to stop once you get started. And then this is the last one. There is nothing more retro for me than putting pink and black together. And so with the Petal Pink, I use the Memento black ink, and I've used some black gems here for my little pop of color. And this is from what is probably right now my favorite sheet of designer series paper, from another celebration item. And you'll see it in full here on the back. And you'll notice it's paper that inspired the new Barn Quilt Block of the Month card kit. So it's my favorite. So, and like I said, you just can't, there's nothing more retro than pink and black together. So I just stamped some of those flowers on the inside. And so here are just a ton of examples so that you can see just how different these cards look from the different papers that you choose to work with. And again, here is that stitched border versus plain. I really would like to know, let's consider this one here, this, and the plain is that. So are you a this or a that person right now on your background? I'm really curious about that. What does your eye, what speaks to your eye is what I would like to know. Now, because I have all of these samples, I want to give away 4 cards. So in the comments, if you would like the chance to win a card, let's just type the word pinwheel, very easy. And I'll let a day or so go by. I know people like to get on and watch the replay. I don't want to count anybody out. So type in the word pinwheel, and I'll draw 4 names to send them a card to. And again, this or that. This is for a, doesn't even have to be this stitched border. But this is for, you know, a stepped up background, and that is for your plain background. So I'm just, you know, inquiring minds want to know. My inquiring mind wants to know what you like. And Peggy, both don't count. I'm going to make you choose one. Okay, so that's the live. I can't wait to see what your cards look like. I hope that you'll take a picture of them and post them over in our community group that's called Quilt Cards and More. You can request to join right from the Chirpy page. And please answer the questions. I decline those who don't answer. and you all know why. So, yeah, that's it for today. Share, number one, please share pictures of your pinwheels over in the group. If you want to win a card, type pinwheel in the comments. And do you like this or do you like that? And I am going to leave you guys with that. And I hope you have a very blessed rest of your day. And I'll just keep checking in over in the community group to see what you've done. So, Janice, Stitched with Whimsy. Oh my gosh. Wait, hold on. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. Where is that die? Okay. This is what Janice is referring to. Okay. Hopefully I didn't lose too many people. They probably jumped off when I started rambling, but this is the Stitched in Whimsy die. This would make a really nice border because it's not too busy. So if you put this down, and this will fit, oh, this fits the 3 3/4 by 5. Okay, you know what I'm going to be doing this afternoon? I'm going to be making more cards. But look at the Stitched with Whimsy die. Janice, I am so happy that you mentioned that. Oh my gosh. So it's going to add interest without taking too much and making it too busy by putting the little stitch work down around there. Now, keep in mind, if you do this, where you're placing your sentiment or how big you want your sentiment to be, but you can totally do that. Okay, thanks, Janice. I'm not done. I'm going to be creating this afternoon. But, Janice, make sure, since you brought it up, I hope that you're going to do a card like that and you're going to share it with us over in the group. So, okay, now I'm going to let you go. Now I'm going to go over and look at more of my dies. I don't know if I've got too many more. Maybe even the stitched rectangles. If you have those, the stitched rectangles would put in a nice simple border without being too busy. Okay? All right, Janice, I can't wait to see it. Deckled rectangles. Sharon said deckled oh my gosh, hold on. Hold on, where are they? Okay. Oh my gosh. The deckled rectangles, what it's going to do, the interest it's going to create is you're not going to have this straight line to that background piece. It's actually going to be deckled, and that is going to add interest to your card too. What else can somebody think of? You know, I'm not in a hurry. Obviously, because I keep telling you, please don't go. So there was the Radiating Stitched Dies. There's our Stitched with Whimsy. There's the deckled rectangles. What else? Perennial postage. Oh my goodness. Hold on. Where did I put that one? Perennial postage. Where are you? Okay. Perennial postage. Now, is there one that your background might be a little bit bigger? But you know what? We can adjust. We can adjust. This one right here. Oh my gosh, isn't that cute? Oh, look at, they're about the same size. It's going to work perfectly on a 3 3/4 by 5. Look at that. Okay, anybody else? Scallop dies for the edges. Yes. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm going to quit racing back and forth. Pretty soon you guys will be hearing me very winded. So, but look at all the ideas that we're sharing with each other just to step them up a little bit. So, yeah, exact same size for, okay. I love this. This has been so much fun. What an ending to today's live. So for those of you that hung in there and didn't jump off, look at all these ideas. For those of you who did jump off, maybe you want to come back and catch the end. Or just go over to the community group and wait for the cards to be shared by everyone who's, I know, going to be doing this today. So, just going to tuck that back in there before it gets lost. And now, I'm going to let you guys go. So, have fun creating. And please, if you've never shared before, because it's, you know, I can remember the first time I shared anything online, I was really nervous because, you know, you're just always worried if somebody's going to like what you did or whatever. But the support and the encouragement that is over in that community group is off the charts. And you're just going to feel so welcomed, and it really does boost your self-confidence, and you'll find yourself sharing more. So, everybody have a good afternoon. I'm going to go grab some lunch, and I'll be checking the for pictures a little bit later. Bye, y'all. Maybe. There we go.